Stick to on this Friday evening edition of Weather for Weather Geeks, the final Weather for Weather Geeks in the month of March. April 1st is tomorrow, and it's no April Fool's joke. We've got yet another windy Saturday that will bear a lot of similarities to last Saturday. Hopefully our power outage situation will not end up being as bad. I suspect it won't, but can't rule that out either. So we'll get to all the details on what to expect for the weekend in this video. But first, since it is the last day of the month, let's recap March and look forward to April. The final numbers are in the books for March temperature-wise. It ended up being a little bit above average, despite plenty of cooler than average days in the mix. We had enough warmer than average days, and this graphic does not show low temperatures. That month-to-date average, that 1.1, that factors in highs and low temperatures. Precipitation-wise, wet month. We ended up at 4.51 inches. Might add a little bit to that total before midnight tonight, but as of this recording, 4.51, putting us 1.3 inches above the average. Fridays in particular, pretty crummy in March. It's rained 4 out of the 5 Fridays in March, and 3 of the 4 Saturdays, so the ends of the week have not been great. Sunday's been one of our better days. Let's look ahead to April. This is the latest update, hot off the presses today from the Climate Prediction Center, the April Outlook. It hasn't changed much since their initial April Outlook put out about 10 days or so ago. I will say that this outlook in the eastern U.S. is a little bit warmer than a lot of the modeling, but we said the same thing at the end of February. March was looking chilly. The modeling was looking chilly. The CPC outlook was not as chilly, and they ended up having pretty much the right idea. So I'm not going to bet against this outlook in April, but I will say that there will be some periods where we have some significantly cooler than average temperatures, especially I think from about April 10th through maybe the 17th or 18th, somewhere in that window. But the month is more than likely going to shake out, maybe kind of like March. Above average, but maybe not by much. Kind of the same vibe as March. A ho-hum month temperature-wise, not straying too far from the average. Precipitation, I would expect kind of a similar vibe in April as well. We're not looking at a super wet month. I don't think we're looking at a very dry month. And probably it'll end up somewhat wetter than average, just like March did. It looks like they might get a little bit of a break in the southwest after a very soggy few months in places like Southern California and Arizona. Odds are favoring drier conditions in the month of April there. All right, wind is top of mind, of course, given what happened last weekend and what we expect tomorrow. And this busy-looking graphic breaks down average wind speeds at our location by times of the day. All the times are down here in this row. Each colored line is a different month. Overall, January is the windiest month of the year for us, but the highest overall wind speeds as far as averages at any point in the day occur actually in the afternoons in April and March, kind of meteorological spring. This tends to be our windiest time of the year. So, I've gotten a lot of questions lately. Hey, what's up with the wind? It's been so windy lately. Yes, we've had some wind events, but nothing really unusual for this time of the year. This tends to be a pretty windy time of the year in Northeast Ohio and Western PA. Rain totals so far today, we're in a break right now as of 7 o'clock or so, but half an inch or so in some spots, maybe even 3/4 of an inch in a couple of our locations. About an average of about 0.4 to 0.5, I would say, is a region-wide average thus far. We'll add to these totals overnight tonight. As of 7:30, things are quiet. It's not going to stay that way for long. Showers will push in and maybe some thunderstorms as we go through the overnight. And look how much real estate is covered by tornado watches this evening, all the way from Wisconsin and northern Iowa, all the way down into Texas. All those red boxes, counties colored in red, those are tornado watches. We've had lots of tornado warnings. We've had confirmed tornadoes. Maybe you've seen by now some of the footage out of Little Rock from mid-afternoon today. What looks like a pretty devastating tornado rolled through central parts of Arkansas. And this was notable today. The Storm Prediction Center issued a high-risk level 5 on the 1 to 5 scale, something they have not issued for any point in the U.S. in about 2 years. And it's been a long time, been about a decade since a high risk has been issued for latitudes this far to the north. In more recent years, we've had high risks in parts of the southern U.S. and out into traditional Tornado Alley. But it's been a long time since parts of Iowa and northern Illinois have been under a high risk of severe weather. We throw around those risk categories a lot this time of the year through the summer season. And just a reminder of kind of what these all mean. We kind of actually prefer the numbers as opposed to the technical terms that are issued with these outlooks, because to most people, hey, what's the difference between slight, enhanced, moderate? It all kind of sounds the same. So level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a little easier for people to understand. But generally what we're getting at with these kinds of outlooks, that high risk is basically what's happening. An outbreak of severe storms with several tornadoes. We're actually in a slight risk of severe weather in parts of our viewing area tomorrow on Saturday, which we'll talk about. And a slight risk is where you have a little bit higher confidence compared to a marginal risk of storms producing a damaging wind gust and or hail and or a tornado. The tornado potential tends to be a little bit higher and a slight risk than a marginal risk. As far as frequency in our area, in our viewing area, eastern Ohio, western PA, we tend to be in a slight risk about 20 to 25 times per year. The marginal risk 30 to 40 times per year. These are pretty common outlooks, but it really drops off once you go down to enhanced. This is only a couple of times a year. Usually we're in that level 3 enhanced risk, and very rarely are we in a moderate risk. And actually, technically, in recent times anyway, in the last couple of decades, we have not been in a high risk of severe weather in our television viewing area. Parts of Ohio have, but not us in recent decades. All right, so all the focus is on Saturday with the wind. But don't sleep, pardon the pun, on tonight's wind potential as we go through the overnight. There can be some showers, there can be some thunderstorms. This is the first of 2 cold fronts that's coming through, and as this rolls through right around here, maybe 3 to 5 a.m., there could be, some winds that wake you up in this, maybe a 35 to 40 mile per hour gust. I don't think it'll be anything crazier than that, but this could be a little bit noisy for an hour or two, middle of the night, for tonight. And for that reason, actually, parts of eastern Ohio are included in that low end 1 on the 1 to 5 scale risk for severe weather overnight. I don't think we're going to see a lot of damaging winds or anything out of this, but it can get pretty windy for an hour or so overnight. But those are long gone by daybreak tomorrow. In fact, the sun will be out for a handful of hours tomorrow morning. And sunshine in the morning will aid in the instability in the atmosphere as the second and more powerful cold front approaches. So the Storm Prediction Center today, basically from the Ohio-PA line on east, or about Youngstown on east, put the region in that slight risk for severe weather. This is all about the wind. We don't have much tornado potential tomorrow, even though it's not a 0% chance. I would put it under 2, maybe 1% chance of an isolated tornado. It's all about the wind tomorrow. Hail's not a real big concern, but a wind gust in any convective shower or a storm right around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock maybe, could top that 58 mile per hour threshold which is the definition of a severe wind gust. Now, of course, independent of any showers and storms, it's going to be windy anyway, but severe wind gusts, 58 or higher, most likely in any convective activity that occurs early in the afternoon. And probably the best chance for that will be in Pennsylvania and especially northwest PA, closer to Erie. But we'll keep an eye on the trends, of course, over the next 12 hours or so. And the wind will start to kick up as the sun comes out Saturday morning. And then in the afternoon, boy, it's going to feel so much different at 4 o'clock in the wake of our second front. 4 or 5 o'clock, temperatures tumbling through the 40s on their way to the 30s. There might even be a snowflake in the mix by the end of the day. Things quiet down in a hurry, though, by Sunday with high pressure building in. It's basically the same sequence as last weekend. Busy, windy Saturday, much calmer, much sunnier, much nicer on Sunday. As we go into early next week, not really buying the showers that the model is spitting out just yet on Monday. Our forecast right now is for a dry day Monday with a mix of sun and clouds and a big warm-up in the wake of this warm front passing to our north. We'll get well up into the 60s on Monday. So here's one model depiction of the wind gusts as we go through Saturday. We'll get a little lull after the overnight activity moves through. It won't be super windy at 7 or 8 in the morning. But by 10, 11, and especially 12 o'clock, you're going to notice the wind kicking up, 50 mile per hour gust. And then as we go through the afternoon, it's going to stay blustery. The wind isn't going to just shut off completely. But the wind gusts will not be as high of a magnitude by 4 or 5 o'clock as opposed to earlier in the afternoon. So that 64 is a midday high. We'll end up in the 20s by the end of Saturday night, and then 48 with sunshine on our Monday. We've got a big warm-up in store for next week. Check out all the numbers on the Storm Tracker 21 app or WFMJ.com/weather. This video tonight, long enough. Thanks for sticking with me on this Friday evening. Be prepared for possible power outages again. Make sure your items are secure. We saw a lot of flying trampolines last Saturday. May not be a bad idea to try to do something to secure those trampolines once again tomorrow morning before the wind really gets too crazy. Make sure your devices are charged up in case you are to be without power for any extended period of time. We're hoping that's not the case, and there's reasonable confidence that the wind gusts will not be as strong tomorrow as they were last Saturday, which would argue for there being fewer power outages, but it's something that is kind of hard to predict as far as the infrastructure goes with our power grid, how it will hold up to tomorrow's winds. Again, thanks for watching tonight. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday.